Got an 1850 game, Eldar versus Chaos. On the Chaos side, he's got a Greater Unclean one with Iron Arm, Enfeeble, Life Leech, Herald of Zinch with Forewarning, Prescience, and Misfortune, Herald of Slanesh with Dominate and Psychic Shriek, and he's got a Herald of Nurgle that he's just placing on the board there with Plague Wind, and unit of Screamers, unit of Demonettes.
Flamers.
That's what I meant. Flamers. And a unit of Bloodletters. He's got Aegis Fence Line with Icarus Last Cannon. And we're playing Crusade with Vanguard deployment. You can see the servo skulls out there are our objectives. I've got proxying in a quad gun for my Icarus Last Cannon. Otherwise, I've got Azurman, Baharoth, 2 Wave Serpents with Scatter Laser, Shuriken Cannon, each of them carrying one 10-man unit or a 9-man unit of Dire Avengers with a Exarch with Power Sword and Shimmer Shield, along with Azurman. Another one will have a 5-man unit of Dire Avengers, and we got a Falcon back here with Bright Lance, Pulse Laser, and Shuriken Catapults with another unit of 5-man Dire Avengers. 5-man squad of Warp Spiders with an Exarch. 5-man unit of Warp Spiders with an Exarch with Fast Shot. And we've got 7 Dark Reapers with an Exarch with Fast Shot, Night Vision, and they all have Star Shot missiles. And Swooping Hawks, 6-man unit with an Exarch with a Sun Rifle. And I forgot to mention, he's got a unit of nasty little puppies back there, 20 of them with Karanak. I shouldn't have forgotten them because they're going to be a pain. Alright, here's the deployment. I put my Wave Serpents in sort of in the back here. It's night fighting. Everything else is kind of huddled around the Aegis line. And he's got his puppies up front here ready to scout and probably eat something. And he's got to make his scout moves yet, and then I'll try and seize probably. End of Demon turn 1. He scouted, moved, and ran his little puppies way up in front of me here. He cast the Grimmery from the Great Unclean one on them, which would have given them a 3-up invul save, but he rolled a 4 on the Warp Storm table, which bumped him back up to -1 on for his invul saves. His Herald of Zinch is hiding back there. He couldn't get anywhere. Those guys stayed put. Bloodletter stayed put and tried to shoot at Baharoth back there, but rolled a 1 to wound. Demons didn't roll so hot either for their movement and running, so they're kind of stuck in the back. I'm sorry, the Demonettes. So on to Eldar turn 1. Alright, this is the end of Eldar movement. Turn 1. I just walked my spiders out here instead of risking a guy getting sucked into the warp. Baharoth jumped out in here in front of the puppies. These guys stayed put, jumped my Falcon back away from the dogs, and do some shooting. Normally I skyleap these guys off. I'm going to stick them on the board here and do some shooting with them. Shuffle my Wave Serpents around to get into position to do some shooting as well. Alright, end of Eldar turn 1 shooting. Everything went into the puppies, and we whittled them down somewhat. Killed 10. Alright, so I killed half of them. Could have been worse, could have been better. Moving on to Eldar assault phase. End of Eldar assault phase, I jumped my spiders back here, jumped these other ones back here behind the fortification. Baharoth jumped into combat, challenged Karanak, and dealt him 2 wounds, taking none back. And demons passed their demonic instability. On to demons turn 2. Demon movement phase, obviously the dogs didn't go anywhere. The Great Unclean one moved up here, tried to cast some psychic douchery on Baharoth, but he denied it on a 6. And then Herald of Zinch tried to cast something as well, but failed.
He did cast Prescience and Forewarning on the Demonettes.
Never mind. Prescience and Forewarning the Demonettes. Never mind. Great Unclean one tried to enfeeble Baharoth, but whiffed his psychic test. However, Forewarning and the Grimmery on the Demonettes gives us 2-up invulnerable rending nastiness. Oh yeah, he's Iron Arm too, so
Toughness
10. So he's not going anywhere.
Strength 9.
All right, on to the demon shooting phase, which is the warp storm table, which will screw me.
Just roll the 9.
Korn's Wrath, you
Yep.
said?
Yep, Korn's Wrath. So I roll for Slaanesh and all enemy units.
Yeah. We'll let you know how many of my guys died after this, because it always kills me. End of the demon shooting phase, he rolled Korn's Wrath, and it, of course, hits some of my units. It hit my Wave Serpent, but scattered way off into the nether. And another one hit my Warp Spiders over here, but drifted just over the line, so that I got a cover save through the wall, and one spider got hit, but made his cover save. Ran the demonettes up. His las cannon hit my falcon, but failed to pen with a 1. Sad panda. Ran up his Great Unclean One and his Herald of Zinch. Otherwise,
Great Unclean One didn't run yet.
whatever. He didn't run yet, but he's going to do something naughty. And the Nurgles are sitting back in the corner where they were. Alright, end of Demon Assault phase. The Great Unclean One attempted to charge in to assist, but failed his charge range. Baharroth did 1 wound to Karanak, which was all he needed. Wounded him, failed to save, and then failed his reroll from the extra bodies laying around, so Karanak is done. And Baharroth is probably going to try and hit and run out of here next turn. Alright, end of Eldar movement turn 2. Walked 1 unit of spiders over here, jumped the ones using the warp jump over here. Baharroth moved back in to get into position with these guys. Jumped my falcon back in close. Shuffled my reapers around so that they could keep line of sight to the dogs. And just moved my wave serpent up so it could get within shuriken cannon range of the dogs as well. Hawk stayed put just because I didn't want to take any dangerous terrain tests. And I've gone 12 inches all the way back to the back corner with that wave serpent. Alright, end of Eldar shooting phase. I pretty much shot everything into the dogs, whittled them down to 1, and I got a little antsy in my pantsy and got into the assault phase and jumped my spiders and charged Baharroth into the final dog that's left there. Once the dogs were whittled down to 1, I saved my Reapers and my Falcon to shoot at the Great Unclean One, and needing 6s to wound because he's now toughness 10, I only managed to put 1 wound on him. He made an invul save on another one, so on to Eldar assault phase. I know you're going to find this weird, but Baharroth killed the last dog and consolidated back toward the spiders. Onto Demon turn 3. Alright, Demon movement phase. He managed to get all his demonettes out of cover here. Moved up his Herald into the ruins there a little bit more. Lurched his Great Unclean One toward Baharroth, and he enfeebled and misfortuned Baharroth. And the demonettes have been prescience and forewarned and Grimmeried. So again, 2-up invulnerable save rending demonettes. Onto the shooting phase. Demon shooting phase, you rolled an 11, which would have Zorched most likely a Psyker, but contrary to normal Eldar, this is a Psyker-free army. He attempted to life leech Baharroth, but failed his psychic test here. And I forgot to mention, but he mishapped when his flamers came in. Barely, by like 1/4 of an inch, I think. And I put him in the corner, and he ran them up an inch. And onto the assault phase. Demon assault phase. He failed to make his charge range on my Hawks. They passed their leadership test after being dominated to shoot Overwatch and managed to kill 1 in Overwatch. The Great Unclean One here made his charge range on Baharroth. Baharroth couldn't hurt him in combat, failed to blind him with his sword, but I got lucky and he only wounded me once. I failed my invul save, so I took a wound, but then I hit one out and consolidated toward this Herald here, and it'll be on to Eldar turn 3. Alright, Eldar movement turn 3. The Hawks passed their leadership and Sky leaped off the board. Wave Serpent just shuffled a little bit to get into position to maybe shoot those Bloodletters behind that Aegis line. This other Wave Serpent shuffled up 6 inches so it can fire all of its weapons as well. Basically, we're avoiding these Terminator demonettes while we can. I kind of had to sacrifice this Falcon out in the middle to keep it away from the Great Unclean One, and everybody else ran. I lost a Warp Spider to my Warp Generator move, but they still got a ways away, and these ones got away from the Great Unclean One as well. Baharoth walked 6 inches instead of using his jetpack toward the Herald of Zinch, and these guys just shuffled a little bit around to get on the las gun, or las cannon. End of Eldar shooting, I only managed to put 1 wound on the Great Unclean One from spiders, Falcon, and Dark Reapers. I dropped the shield, shot the Wave Serpent and the Scatter Laser at the Bloodletters, killing maybe 1 or 2 there. Dropped that shield and shot the cannon, Scatter Laser, and shield, and killed about 3 or so there. Baharoth shot his Hawk's Talon into the Herald of Zinch and put 1 wound on him onto the assault phase. Alright, Eldar assault phase, no surprise, Baharoth came in and actually his Hammer of Wrath took out the Herald. Warp Spiders jumped into dangerous terrain with their assault jump. Almost had a whole bunch of ones. And these spiders moved further away from the Great Unclean One, but not so close that those flamers will jump up and scorch the crap out of them. On to Demon turn 4. Alright, Demon movement phase. He decided to head either toward Baharoth or the Falcon. I'm not sure which. I think we're about to find out. Yeah, probably both, if I know how he likes to multi-charge. He dominated Baharoth, so I'll have to take leadership tests if I want to do anything with him.
Enfeebled Warp Spiders.
He moved his Bloodletters up toward my poor little Warp Spiders, who have also been enfeebled. Can't pass any more psychic tests or deny the witches, I guess. Great Unclean One shuffled up toward these poor Dark Reapers, and he cast Iron Arm on himself. Only rolled a 1 this time, so he's toughness 8. And moving on to the shooting phase. Oh, I'm sorry, he moved his flamers up as well. Shooting phase, he again rolled a 4 on the Warp Storm, and now he has -1 to all of his invulnerable saves. Prescience here? Yet? No prescience here. What did you do with the demonettes? I can't remember. They had some psychic powers. They dominated Baharoth. So he will again need to pass leadership to do anything. The Herald of Nurgle shot some Plague Wind or some Large Blast and took out 1 of my Warp Spiders, and they passed leadership.
Flamers ran 5.
Flamers ran up toward my poor spiders. Great Unclean One life leeched 1 of my Dark Reapers, and now he's back to only having lost 1 wound. Onto Demon's assault phase, where some Eldar are going to die. Alright, this is the end of the Demon assault phase. As expected, his Bloodletters came in and wiped out my spiders pretty easily. He lost a few to Overwatch, but not too bad otherwise. Multi-charged Baharoth and the Falcon. Baharoth lost the challenge to the Herald of Slaanesh, and unexpectedly, out of like 35 attacks, he only got 2 Rens on my Falcon, and then when he penned, he rolled double 1s, so it's two hull points and a shaken. So we're on to Eldar turn 4. Oh, I'm sorry, and he tried to charge the Reapers and failed, not surprisingly. Alright, Eldar movement. I've moved my Falcon away from those nasty demonettes and walked my spiders up rather than risking them getting absorbed by the warp. Landed my swooping hawks back in the corner. They dropped their grenade pack when they came in and only caused 1 wound over there. Over here I moved my Wave Serpent into the ruins here, managed not to immobilize myself. Disembarked the passengers near the objective. Over here the Wave Serpent shuffled up 6 inches, disembarked the passengers, and I ran them right away just because they were falling off the wall and I didn't want to break any of my stuff, so we'll figure that out later. So that is Eldar movement. Oh, I'm sorry, and the Reapers moved away from the big nasty Great Unclean One, abandoning the gun. Alright, Eldar shooting. Combination of fire from Dire Avengers, Wave Serpent, and Wave Serpent. The scatter laser didn't have line of sight, but shot the cannon and the shield. Brought down the majority of the demonettes. There's a few left there. Only one Dire Avenger, even with his run move, got in range. Killed one bloodletter. Shot my spiders and my hawks at the flamers, and took a few down, and moved my or shot my dark reapers at them as well, firing the Star Swarm missiles, and took a few out. I didn't want to bother trying to shoot him because he's obscured by the Aegis line for a 4-up, and he's shrouded, so he's got a 2-up save. There's really no point in wasting rounds on him. Alright, Demon Movement Phase, turn 5. He's shuffled over the Great Unclean One toward my Reapers. Demonettes have been consolidating toward the middle of the board. Great Unclean One Grimmeried them for a 3-up invul save. And the Flamers jumped over the Falcon, probably to roast my 4 Warp Spiders. And he's just rolled a what on the Warp Storm table? An 8 on the Warp Storm table, so we're on to the shooting phase. Alright, Demon shooting. He had something that, was it Corn's Wrath?
Yeah. No, it was the Slaanesh one, actually.
Slaanesh
Dark
one.
Prince Thirst.
Dark Prince Thirst. Anyway, he hit a whole bunch of stuff, including his own Corn Berserkers for like the first time ever. But he penned my Wave Serpent, and it's shaken now. Stunned. Whatever. You heard it. Let's see, what else did you do? I think you killed some hawks with it? Maybe? Hit the... didn't hit the... I think he hit the spiders, something with that. And he killed like 5 of his own bloodletters or something like that with this thing. With his Great Unclean One, shot Life Leech and killed 2 Reapers. And the Flamers over here hit the spiders. They made a whole bunch of saves, and only 2 of them died. And then they got to feel no pain and passed the toughness test against all odds. And then they go and fail their leadership and ran off the board. Shot his Plague Wind at the Hawks and killed 2 of them after they were decimated from Slaanesh's Wrath. And it's on to bottom of turn 5, Eldar. Alright, Eldar movement. Move my Falcon back 6. Got out my Dire Avengers. Moved my Reapers away from the Great Unclean One some more. Attempted to get out of the ruins with my Wave Serpent and immobilized it. And just made sure I surrounded this objective here with these Dire Avengers. He's still stunned, and these guys moved up through the cover, and they're going to run, shoot. Only a few guys can actually get line of sight on these bloodletters, but they're going to try and do something anyway. So on to Eldar, bottom of turn 5 shooting. Alright, end of Eldar shooting, bottom of turn 5. The Dire Avengers over there, and the Wave Serpent that was immobilized right here managed to kill the remaining bloodletters. Let's see, what do we got here? The Swooping Hawk fired at the Flamers, did nothing. The Dire Avengers shot at them, killed a few, and then ran toward the objective. Falcon shot all of its weapons at them and killed a few. And then the Dark Reapers here fired their Star Swarms and killed another one, so he's down to 1 Flamer with a wound. And that is it for Eldar shooting, bottom of 5. And we'll see if the game continues. It does. Alright, Demon movement phase. He shuffled up toward the Reapers, Zorched himself trying to enfeeble my Reapers, so he took a wound on his Great Unclean One. Grimmeried the Demonettes, so they're now 3-up involved. She split off, and Psychic Shrieked. 2 of these guys got ahead of ourselves, so they're going to be 2 of them are going to be removed. I failed my Deny the Witch. Move the Flamer up to hit them, obviously, and I think that's it for his movement on shooting. Demon shooting phase. Shot a whole bunch of business at my Dark Reapers from his Great Unclean One, but they passed their cover saves. Warp Storm table, for once, didn't screw me. Nothing got hit, nothing damaged. Ran the Demonettes into cover. After, like I said before, she Psychic Shrieked them, took out 2, Flamer took out 2, and he actually passed his toughness test. So he's got a 6 up Feel No Pain. I think he's about to be assaulted by the Flamer. And I think he failed his Psychic test over here with his Nurgle guy trying to Plague Wind the Lone Hawk. So onto Assault phase. Forgot again after the Assault phase. Flamer made it in, but the lone Dire Avenger killed him. Consolidated just to within 3 inches of the objective. As expected, Great Unclean One beat the crud out of these Dark Reapers and consolidated toward my Wave Serpent. I already started moving my Falcon in my next turn, but yeah, that's where we're at in my Hawk. So we're at start of Eldar movement turn 6. End of Eldar movement phase. So again, this Falcon just moved up 6 so we can fire all of its guns. The Hawk is up here within range of something. I don't know what. Dire Avenger holding objective. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. This thing moved out so they can get in range and shoot its weapons, and they shuffled a little bit to get in range of the Demonettes. Alright, so Eldar shooting wiped out the Demonettes on there with the Dire Avengers, and the Wave Serpent here shot the remaining Herald of Slaanesh. Falcon, I think, whiffed miserably. She made her impulse saves before, as well as from the Dire Avenger, and I believe as well as from the Hawk. So she lived quite a while until she went down. Then I attempted to shoot the Great Unclean One with my Wave Serpent, and nothing could wound him, being Strength 10. So that's bottom of Eldar, turn 6.
It just ended. You can roll to see if it goes on.
See if it goes on. It does. Demon movement moved up Great Unclean One to probably kill my poor vehicle, and rolled difficult terrain and got got 6. Moved his Herald up close to the end of the wall there. On the demon shooting. Warp Storm table was another 4, so for 3 times this game, he's rolled a 4 on the Warp Storm table, which hurts his invul save to -1. His Herald shot Plague Wind at my remaining Hawk and killed him.
He'll try and smash.
Onto Assault phase. So surprise, surprise, he exploded my immobilized Wave Serpent about 4 times over. But the blast didn't reach out and get any of the Dire Avengers. So if we leave it where it stands, we've got 3 objectives for the Eldar and 1 for the Demons. So very close game.